but he's in the freezer, and Grady actually unlocks the door for him.
Yes, that's a really important scene.
Right, because that proves at that point
yes.
that they're in the physical reality. Whether or not, like, obviously the ghosts have their cosmic kind of mystery to them.
Yes.
But that right there is like, that's tangible. That he unlocked the door in the physical reality and let Jack go on his killing spree. So
yes, actually, I have a really...
And he had to make a deal with the devil, technically, to do it.
I have a really cool thing to read to you specifically about that. When talking about that scene in particular, because that was a really important part in the writing process, Kubrick was talking about that scene, because he said that the entire time, as we've been kind of talking about, he really wanted to build up to this idea of, is this real or is this psychological? Because, again, he's sort of convincingly laid out both reasons.
Yep.
And his point was that I think that it's psychological, but that the psychological can sometimes be so powerful that it has a physical reaction. It has a physical... So the way that he talked about it was, he said that there's this story he loves called The Blue Hotel, and that you learn that the central character is a paranoid. He gets involved in a poker game, decides someone is cheating, makes an accusation, starts a fight, and gets killed. And you think the point of that story is that his death was inevitable because he's a paranoid poker player and he would ultimately get involved in a fatal gunfight. But in the end, you find out that the man he accused actually was cheating.
Okay.
So he said that he wanted to achieve something similar in The Shining, where you have this psychological misdirection to forestall the realization that there actually is real supernatural things happening.
Okay.
So that you're constantly...
Very cool.
It kind of messes with your brain in that way.
Right.
Where you've kind of long accepted that there is something strange psychologically happening, and then all of a sudden that manifests in a physical way. And I think that also extends to his sort of the way that he uses Danny's ability to shine, which is kind of like where it gets its title, the idea that Danny is a bit of a telepath. It seems like Dr. Sleep goes in sort of more literally in that direction. Yeah. Whereas it's interesting because Kubrick seemed more investigated in it, or at least more invested in it, in this idea of Danny becoming aware of sort of like more adult things in the world. Yeah. And how that sort of manifests into something. Again, it's a psychological thing that he's going through, but how that manifests more physically. Yeah. And I think that is ultimately what Kubrick is going for the overall film, is having you watch something psychological, you're experiencing something psychological like that, something that's testing and fucking with your brain. Yeah. And then vividly rendering it, like, again, tangibly, realistically, in ways that your brain also is getting fucked with in that way. Yeah, and putting this in like an overall sort of like labyrinth almost that you're constantly just kind of like walking your way through. Yeah, very slowly, very creepily, and then, very hypnotically. And
at that point, that's also when Wendy starts to see all the ghosts physically. So it's almost as if like that initiation, that Jack saying, "Yes, I will kill my family. Let me out of here." It brings it all into the physical reality. Yeah. Because that's the moment that Shelley starts to see all the ghosts and start fucking being like, something is definitely wrong in this hotel.
Yeah, and I think he does a really good job of just kind of like diagnosing that he thinks that this is where horror comes from. That horror is a psychological thing, and psychology on its most barest terms is like a physical thing. It really is. It's your brain. And then obviously what your body can do, like what an unhealthy brain can still do attached to a body, right? Yeah. Which really gets you into sort of like the physical violence of this film. Like when that axe goes into Crothers, man, brutal.
Oh, yeah, and also not to mention, like, he's such a genuine character. Like, I just love, he's such a down to earth. The way he talks to Danny is just so
he has like a rural
like a
vibe
guardian,
to him, right?
And like like I just love his performance, and he's one of the only characters, I guess, besides Wendy. But Wendy spends so much time under stress that it's hard to really I don't dislike her, but she's just always so like timid.
Well, you don't get a picture of her not in terror,
right?
Because that's what her performance really is.
Right,
I mean, I think a lot of people criticized her performance.
I think she was going for like just a very.
I was like, you probably know this. She won a Razzie for that.
Yeah, I didn't know she won a Razzie.
Yeah, they named this worst film and gave her worst performance.
What?
Yeah, you must have known people didn't like this film when it came out.
I didn't know that, actually.
No, people didn't like this one.
I get constantly disappointed by you fucking old critics, man. Like, what's up with this?
I mean, The Shining's
you don't
been,
like the
The
thing.
Shining's
You don't
been
like the
reclaimed
Shining
for a long time now. But when it came out, like the reactions were like, mixed. Like some of them were pretty positive. Some of them were kind of like, I don't know what that's about.
I'm like creating a list here. You got Peeping Tom, The Shining, The Thing, all things that I 5-star, and these critics, man. What are you doing? You didn't know what you had.
Yep.
But wow, that's incredible. I especially didn't know that it got worst film. That's fucking insane to me. I can't even believe that's real.
Yeah.
But the worst actress, I don't get it in that sense. I can kind of see why people don't latch on to her performance because it's very unguarded. Like she just kind of lets.
It's very raw.
Yeah, raw. She just lets it all out, and there is a sense of like, she's kind of got that. She's not dumb. I don't want to say dumb, but she has this voice of like blissful ignorance. You know. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like every time she interacts with Jack, even though he's a total monster, she's always like, "Oh, okay, honey, I'll just do that then." Yeah. You know, and it's very high pitched. It's kind of scratchy to the ears.
Yeah,
well,
the way I kind of read that stuff honestly was that she was playing her role. That was like she's supposed to be supportive wife to the the writer,
even though he's a total animal.
Yeah, and he's an asshole, and he's not even a successful writer. Like she's just being like.
And we find out a little
about his writing
a little bit later on.
Which honestly, one of the most famous scares of the movie, obviously, all work, no play. Jack Doll Boy. Yeah, obviously very.
Rewatching
very
this, it was
scary.
so effective just because watching him